Welcome back to another episode of Motivate with Coach Camp. I, of course, am your host, Coach Camp. And today is a very symbolic day. We are down here in the beautiful SRP studios with Mr. Derek Michaud, my buddy. But today is our last recording in this beautiful studio. I know you guys have come to love the ambient blue lighting behind me. This is just, it's been a fantastic ride here at this SRP location. But don't you guys worry. Even though this area is no longer going to be our home, the product stays the same. We're going to be moving across town. We're going to be in a whole new studio. On to bigger and better things is the way I see it. Life is all about changes, and it's how do you shift gears when it's time to change gears. And I think we're going to be fine over there. I think everything's going to work out, but I will miss this place. A lot of great memories. As you guys know, as y'all have watched for the last 2.5 years. And today I'm wrapping this up. Now, today is actually the day before Thanksgiving. And so when this is airing, it's January of 2025. You guys have been through Thanksgiving and Christmas and a New Year party probably somewhere down the road. And 2025 is off and bussing. And this is actually the moment where I'm like, you know what? I want to bank one more for next year, even though we're in November. And I thought about who would be my last guest. And it just so happens it's a friend that I just met. And he has a great story. And he's going to have a great impact in Hernando. So I thought, let's just bring him into the studio. Let's get a little bit of his background so you guys get to know him right out the box here in January 2025. You're going to love this. Music is the pathway to a person's heart and their soul. It will speak to people, and it is something that's enlightening, motivating, and inspiring. And so why not have my new good friend, Mr. Manny Zepada. Welcome to the Coach Camp podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Look, you didn't know at the time that you were going to be my final guest here in this location, huh?
Did not.
Now, here's the true irony. Now we get to be really good friends because we're going to be in the same building with you in our new location.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool. And that's actually kind of what brought us together, right?
Yes, sir.
So we're moving some stuff in, and Derek introduces me to you. And then I'm just like, wow, man, this guy's got positive energy. You've got a great mission. I love to hear where you're going with things. And I said, well, how about we just bring you on in here and have you as a guest? So here you are. So Manny, let's just share a little bit about who you are and where you come from with my listeners.
Right. Well, lifelong musician.
Okay.
So age of 5, piano lessons all the way through college, and took off traveling, just hitting all the...
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in New York City.
New York City, get out of here. Are you a Yankees fan?
Big time.
Come on, man. I didn't even know this about him. This is real time happening, even though it's recorded. So yeah, it's real time happening. Yeah, I'm a big Yankees fan. My daughter's name is Mattingly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from Diamond.
You're for real then.
I'm deep. It's probably, I need therapy.
Wow. Okay. Well, I was there in the 70s, man. That was a great
That's a
decade
great time.
for the
Absolutely,
Yankees.
Man.
Yeah.
So you grew up in New York. How long were you there?
About 8 years.
8 years. Okay.
Yeah. About 6th grade, we retired, head down to South Texas, and that was the rest of my life.
That's a big shift.
Yeah.
From New York City to Texas.
Yeah, real big.
Yeah. Climate, I would imagine population change.
Everything, accents,
huh?
everything. Definitely
accents. So did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I got a younger brother, Marco.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you guys, was he a musician as well?
Somewhat more of a production guy.
Okay. And so when you were growing up, what age was it you started getting interested in music?
5.
What'd you do?
Piano.
Really?
It was just crazy, weird passion for it.
Well, bro, what took you in that direction?
I think there's a story of me getting lost in a mall.
This sounds really good. I want to sign up for this.
Staten Island Mall, and for real,
Yeah.
lost. And his parents are panicking, and they found me in a piano store, actually.
Are you serious?
Wouldn't get off some piano. Sales guy's like, whose kid is this? And anyway, my dad bought the piano.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
that is a great story, man.
But it's always been a thing. My daughters do the same thing. They migrate towards instruments and things like that.
Were your parents musicians?
No, it's weird. It's just me down. From me down.
I have always believed that a person will migrate to the thing that they love. And it doesn't matter how old you're going to be. Now, I didn't know that this was going to be the thing for me. I'm just relating the stories. It's so similar in a way. At the age of 3, almost 4, now this is told to me by my parents.
Okay.
So I don't have memory of this actually, but this was a story they loved to tell as I grew up. They were in the Sears and Roebuck. Do you remember the Sears Roebuck stores? And so they have these little platforms where the mannequins were, and there was this stage area, and there was no mannequin there. And they said they were looking at some stuff in a display case, and they all of a sudden couldn't find me.
Wow.
Similar to your story.
Wow.
They turn around, and there's a crowd that has gathered around the spot, and my mom said she immediately knew it had to be me. And that she told my dad, you got to go get him. I'm not getting him. And so he worms his way through. Now, apparently, Manny, and again, I don't have memory of this, but they told this so often, it has to be true. I had climbed up on that stage and I was doing the robot. And I had stopped. All these people were stopping to look and see if I was an animatronic or a real person, because I was like at 4. And so performance was my calling.
It's getting that attention.
Much like the music.
Yeah.
So clearly you didn't know anything about what you were doing, but you were drawn to the piano. So your dad buys it, brings it home. Talk to me about that. Do you start taking lessons?
Just lessons, playing by ear, and taking all my spare time towards it.
And this was the days before YouTube and all that. So
we did things the hard way.
You had to do it the hard way, right?
Big time.
Yeah, I've actually been able to learn quite a few things just off of YouTube videos.
Now you can learn what I learned in a lifetime, probably in about a year now.
That's wild. So were y'all living in an apartment?
We actually were, yeah.
Because New York City, you just assume it's hard to find houses up there, I guess. But so what was that like for the neighbors?
I never heard any complaints. So
okay, yeah, that's good. So you live there till you're 8 years old,
right?
And what brought y'all to Texas?
Dad retired. Just a simple military thing. It's all he's done with the 20-year term, and so we just retired to where my mom's family was, where she came from, and I just continued on from there. So
your dad was what branch? Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Okay. And so obviously met your mom traveling about. Sometime was down in Texas, I imagine.
Yes, that's correct.
And then you guys end up in New York, and then it's like, hey, we're heading back to Texas.
Yeah, we're going back home, full circle.
That's full circle, man. That's awesome. So you get back to Texas. What is life like at that point?
Again, just the music. It's always about what I'm going to do next. So I'm still buying keyboards and getting them for Christmas and joining bands at young age. I'm sure a lot of us have that same story. I'm already 15 and I'm already performing in public, in bars, in fact.
Wow.
That's a whole nother story.
No, I want to get to some of that for sure. What I'm hearing is your parents were very supportive.
They took me, they would actually chaperone me to places that you shouldn't be in underage. But in the 80s, I think, it was like with your parents, it was okay.
Yeah.
Somehow. So anyway, we did this and I always, it was an addiction. I'm getting paid.
Wow. So when was your first paid gig?
Oh gosh, I'm going to say about 15.
15. And it was playing the piano.
Keyboards. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I'm already playing in bands with people that were adults. Really, I was the kid.
How did you find out about this? I mean, back then, you probably had to go places or know somebody, right?
It's an excellent question.
Yeah.
Because I actually hadn't put much thought into it, but it was a high school band. It was. I started in with a bunch of guys my age, and we did the whole high school band thing, played the proms, dances and things like that.
Okay.
And from there, we would go see other musicians and older bands if we could. Mm-hmm. Festivals, outdoor things, any chance we could get to be around other musicians that were really making a living.
Yeah.
We would
surround yourself with those people that have a similar interest. One, but then two, are also finding success. There was no podcasters for me to hang around. I've been trying to figure this out, which is probably why I'm not very successful just yet. Well, but I'm still trying to figure this thing out. But at the end of the day, you had to take action, and that's good. Surround yourself with good mentors.
Yeah. So we ended up and then it's a word of mouth at that point. You're just, interacting and mingling with the other pros. And then from that point, my parents again would just continue to bring, hey, we're going to show you a band at a local hotel, the Hilton. They've got this great band. You got to see them.
Oh, wow. So they were taking you to see people too. That is outstanding.
Yeah. So I would meet like jazz pianists. If we would go to like a lobby bar that had a jazz pianist, I would meet them. My parents were pushing me. They didn't have to push me, but they were right there with me. Like, you've got to meet these people and those people. So honestly, it really comes down to support.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, and this is important, is when a parent sees that a child has a true love or interest in something, there's those flighty moments. Like the son comes in, is like, hey, I want to take up tennis. And they go to the first tennis lesson, and then the tennis racket never moves again, right? So there are those moments. And as a parent, you probably should just lay off of that and say, all right, well, that's not for them. But they saw that you had a love early on, obviously when you wandered off at the Staten Island Mall. Mm-hmm. And that had continued to grow all the way up to the age of 15, which is 10 years of playing, which that is honestly, that's some pedigree at that point if you've been doing it a lot, right? And so they're putting you in a position. Now I'm going to just relate something. So I had a guy on here named John Clayton White. Are you familiar with him?
No.
13 years old, plays blues guitar. He plays rhythm, but he plays blues music. And his mom is very supportive, much like you. They just came off of a cruise ship where he traveled with Kingfish, the blues player.
Wow.
Yeah. And they performed the whole cruise out and back. And he plays in bars and clubs all the time.
For sure.
And he just released his first EP. And so like all of this is very relatable because his parents see the passion and they see the talent.
Yeah.
And they're putting them in a position to have opportunities. And that's what your parents were doing. They were giving you opportunities.
If you don't, you miss it. You miss the opportunity.
So were you ever nervous?
No, it was natural.
Just ready to go.
Wanted to be anywhere and everywhere and get right in with everybody. Yeah.
So at 15, you're starting to play some gigs. Now, I don't think it was 15, but I bet you're familiar with a group called Gabby Johnson.
Very familiar.
Juno and Donnie and all those guys. So I went to school with them.
Juno's working on our logo.
Right now. How about that?
Yeah.
See, so I grew up with these guys and they kind of started that way. And then they've kind of grown and grown and grown. They're local celebrities. I mean, everybody knows them in this area, obviously, and much the same.
Yes.
I remember Donnie playing the drums at like 11 years old, banging. He was down the road from where I lived. You could hear the drums just going all day long. So you're 15. You've got a group of guys.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Because you're still in high school, right?
Still in high school.
So what are you thinking when graduation happens?
Well, so I get close to graduation. I get offered a job with a very, very popular, famous band in Texas. That they're adults, they make albums, they play 7 nights a week, and I joined this band.
What's the name of it?
The New Variety Band.
The New Variety. What kind of music?
It was variety for the clubs, but their originals and their other stuff was actually Tejano music. This is South Texas.
Tejano. Explain
Tejano.
that. Help me out with that.
Is
that like Polynesian is what it is?
It's like a Latin style of music.
Okay.
There's many. Right, so but this is like a South Texas.
I got you.
I'm not even sure what that stands for, to be honest with you. But
it's okay. But that's for my listeners now. It's your homework. You guys, you go Google.
Yeah,
do that. Do a Google thing. We don't have Siri in here.
With a J.
With a J, yeah.
Yeah, but so they took me in. I'm 17. These guys take me in. They're all seasoned players.
Wow.
I mean, I'm talking.
What was that like for you?
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Not intimidated at all?
No.
That's good.
No, the first thing I did was we spent $10,000. We got a baby grand, piano. We got DX7. We got all the highest, latest gear. I had 6 keyboards.
Man,
it was an incredible situation.
When I think about 80s and pianos, I think about the synthesizers and they had the whole layout up here.
That was it.
And you see the people like,
that was it.
God, who was it? REM. I'm trying to think of some of the other guys I remember seeing.
Gosh,
jamming on them. Yeah, so probably all of them. 80s music, that was kind of like a staple.
Yeah, I had the whole rack. I mean, I was surrounded. I took up half the stage, more than the drummer.
That is crazy.
And I'm a kid, and I'm playing with these guys. It didn't.
Very impressive.
It never fazed me.
Wow.
For some.
Did you have someone that you looked up to that was like a mentor or like a musical idol that you were like, man, I like this person's style. I want to kind of mimic some of that? Yeah,
actually. So the guitar player in that band, John Champion, is this guy's name. And this gentleman, he auditioned for Johnny Carson. That he was. He was allowed to audition for that level. He didn't get the gig, but not just anybody gets a gig. An audition.
Yeah. For people that don't know, because I have a young audience. So Johnny Carson used to be a talk show and they had a live band. Yeah, except I don't have a live band, right? But I got musicians in here, right? So
so this gentleman, while I'm in this band, one of the deals was we'll hire him, but John has to oversee his parts, his learning, and we're not just going to let him come in willy-nilly. this guy's like 17. We don't really know.
Yeah.
They were sure they wanted me, but they needed for me to agree that John would, and I was more than happy for that. So I was trained by a guitar player.
You were trained to play the keyboard by a guitar player.
Well, I was already a keyboard player,
right.
But I was trained to learn songs and to apply proper parts and voicings and just all of the technical stuff. And I watched him learn them. He would learn keyboard parts on the guitar, and then he would kind of feed them to me a little bit.
So how long were you with that group?
A couple years. It was quick because I immediately just started band bouncing. People kept wanting to hire me. So the next band was Broxton, and they owned a nightclub, one of the biggest clubs in McAllen. It just was one level after the next. It's always a bigger situation.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I think my listeners would like to know about that. If they've never been in the music industry or, other than just going to watch a band.
Yeah.
So when you get into a band and you see where your talent lies, other people see where you are. And then they say, hey, look, this person would fit really well right here. And then, it's the next step up. I mean, how do you know you're making the right decision or you're going to a group that you're going to jive with? Taking a chance?
It's always taking a chance, But in the music world, change is inevitable. You have to just embrace it and try new things.
Yeah. I just talked to Derek before we started. For most of my listeners know he's a bassist and played for, most of his life. And I asked him the question of, in the music industry, is it more competitive or camaraderie? And he feels like it's a lot of camaraderie.
Yeah.
That people, it's not so much backstabbing, that they want to see you succeed and they don't mind sharing your information or talent with others. Is that how you saw it too?
Yes. Like when I got the offer from the other band, the band I was in was like, great for you, buddy.
Man, that's good.
We transition with proper etiquette and we find a replacement. Everybody's great.
Yeah.
In the music industry, usually.
Yeah. So when you're young like that, where do you see yourself going? Do you have a game plan or are you just going with the flow?
I almost immediately started my own band.
You started your own band?
Yeah. After the second big chance that I had that worked.
Yeah.
I just said, you know what? I'm going to start my own.
Was that validation that you saw you had a talent, maybe even a gift? Because I think people do have certain gifts that they're given. Or was it just you wanted to just try?
It's this interview's great for me because I'm thinking of things that I never thought of. You know, like I'm looking back thinking I was never worried, never scared. It was just some kind of just do it.
Yeah. Just
go for it. Like now in life we're reserved about it. We're scared to do anything. I'm scared to change banks,
Yeah.
It's like, but back then I was like, oh, join another band? Sure, whatever. Oh, start my own band? Whatever,
Yeah.
Oh, we'll just go on tour and travel the United States? Sure, whatever. Does my car have enough gas?
There's a expression, ignorance is bliss. And I think when you're young, you are fearless a lot of times. Well, a lot of people are fearless. There are those that are OCD even at a young age, and they freak everything out. But that is true, and you're right. When you get older, you want to be more reserved, maybe more calculated. Maybe you like to think that you have more wisdom now. But we're going to lead up to this music school that you're starting, and I feel like it hasn't left your genetics, but we're not going to go there yet because I want to save that a little bit because your music school is going to be, I think it's going to be something that is a staple of this community personally, and we're going to talk about that as we get there. But I want people to know the Manny that brought you to where this moment is in time here in Hernando. So at this point, here it is, you built your band. So what were you looking for? What kind of band? Did you have an idea of what you wanted it to sound like?
Everything I learned from the previous 6 years that I saw that worked, I'm just going to do that.
Okay.
And fortunately, which this is a weird part, little sidebar, was I actually was dating a girl who I recognized could sing. Oh. So I thought, wait a minute, she can sing.
Oh, she wasn't singing prior?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, I'm just going to say I kind of picked her up as a singer.
I got you.
She always sang. Her family was all musicians and stuff. And I'm like, you could sing in my band. We could work together. And that was it. So like, because of her and my access to her as being her boyfriend.
Sure.
I just started working with her. And,
how old were you?
I was about 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
Young.
Yeah. And she was about 18.
And that's risky at an old age, working with your wife / girlfriend.
Hey, you know what? This one went 24 years.
What? You gotta tell you, we took a chance and it worked out for a while.
Yeah. We quickly put this thing together. We started building song lists, buying gear, getting the car, get a trailer, whatever it took, the whole dream. we started touring. We played locally for a couple of years, and we started playing Ramada Inns and Holiday Inns and all those jokey kind of bars that every band has ever played, you know?
Yeah.
If you come from the 80s anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Now-
I think it's
now-
still happening now. Trust
maybe,
me. If
yeah.
if you travel, look,
Maybe.
I can't even remember where I was. I was in Nashville.
Yeah.
I can't remember the hotel. I just remember coming down. It was like 9:30 on a Friday, and I'm coming down the stairs, and there's this guy just set up out there right outside the lobby playing a guitar and singing songs, but he was paid for by the hotel.
Okay.
So people still do this stuff.
I
mean,
guess.
just like whatever you could get sometimes and try to get your name out there.
Yeah.
So were you writing your own music, your own songs, lyrics?
Never did that. That was I focused on what I knew was working, which was cover band.
Gotcha.
I was a professional cover band.
Okay.
So never really did that.
So when you were traveling around your tour, how do you get the word out to the next town, the next city? How do you know that you're going to be booked? Did you have an agent?
I had an agent.
There we go.
Yeah, so we figured out quickly that if you find an agent that books hotels, they're going to get a commission. They'll keep you working.
They'll keep you going.
So we found one, signed up with them, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, 60% of the pie is better than 0% of the pie. You know, at the end of the day, you got to think about where's the benefit here for you, obviously getting the gigs.
Yeah.
And plus to get your name out there, the reps, continue to grow yourself and build your brand, if you will. And, you know, there's a story I remember about Evel Knievel. All right, so you're around my age. Evel Knievel. We don't have those guys in society anymore. Just a random, reckless. I guess the guys off of Jackass were probably kind of in that area.
He was a proper Jackass.
So he was, and he was alone. You know, he was the guy, right? So when he started doing stunts on a motorcycle, nobody really was interested in a lone stuntman coming to a casino.
Right.
So what he started doing was he would call a casino and pretend to be an agent and ask them if they had heard about this guy. He was pretending that he was an agent of himself without acting like he was himself.
I didn't know
and he
that.
would sell himself to that place. And then they would be like, yeah, bring it. And then when he would go and perform at the sex place, jump a fountain or whatever, then he would broadcast that to the next one. So he self-promoted in a time when social media was non-existent.
That's cool.
That he is in a lot of ways. I'm like looking at him. I'm like, that guy right there is a model. That's a model to follow, right? So, how long? You said 24 years. So was it the same thing for 24 years with your band that you had started?
Yes, and it was, but it also grew as well, like with the times. So bars became hotels, hotels became resorts, resorts became casinos, things like that. Casinos became cruise ships.
And I would imagine if you're having fun, the years are just peeling back.
We're just doing it. We're just keeping the calendar booked, pulling the money in, and just going.
And probably never thinking twice about it.
No.
Right? Doing what you love often will create a situation where so much time has passed and you never paid attention to it.
There was a moment in my 30s where I just kind of went, man, I still don't work for anybody. This is weird. Like how, because, if times get tough, and they do once in a while. Sure. You just kind of go, wow, this is so unstable. Like in your normal job, you're just the job's gonna be there unless they fire you, Right. So, but in this, no matter how good you are, no matter how talented you are, no matter what, you might just be without work at some point.
I mean, nobody saw COVID coming.
That was the killer.
And that shut down so many people.
It shut down everybody.
Yeah, I mean, the world did go in a tailspin. I don't have to say that, everybody. That's an obvious comment.
Yeah.
But there were some areas that thrived. So the digital industry, and like even Derek has talked about it, like that was a time in podcasting and then in his, because media was the only way we could communicate for a period of time. He thrived. And it did affect some people positively. Most people, especially like I was teaching, and I teach paramedic school. So it's not so easy to teach a person how to save a life through a Zoom meeting.
Right.
So there were challenges that the world had not seen.
Yeah.
So at that time, what happens with you?
During COVID?
Yeah.
Oh, shut down.
Everything was shut down.
Just everything stopped. Now, her and I were no more at this point. So
we were on COVID, so I just wanted to see if that's what happened with you. But
but that did happen with me.
We will back up to the touring and the 24 years of being together and then doing stuff. One thing I'm always interested in is, did you set goals along the way I mean, like for me in my podcasting, every year when I come into a new year, I'm thinking to myself what it is I'm trying to accomplish, where I would like to see myself in 6 months and then at the end of the year. So was any of that happening with you?
Yeah. Well, because I was paired up, it's hard to set goals together. You know, like I could say, hey, I want to play keyboards for a major artist or tour or something, but unless she's included, you don't make those goals.
Yeah.
So the goals were to just keep this going and just continue to make as much success as we could as a cover band. Yeah.
Yeah.
After it ended, then I had different goals.
Okay. What year was that?
Oh gosh, about 2014.
Oh, so 10 years ago, not too long ago, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's been 10.
It's just, but even though 10 years does seem like a long time in the scope of things.
Right.
Not so long ago, really. During that 24 years, just curious, did you play with any other bands? Or did you like open or was there moments?
You know, yeah, as a group, we had many times where it was a festival or, you know, something special like that. You know, I think we opened up for like Willie Nelson one time, America another time. Usually, you know, local events that have local bands that kind of open up for bigger acts.
Yeah.
We tapped a few of those.
Who was the biggest name that you got to play along with or meet?
I'd probably just say Willie Nelson is the only one I could remember.
Yeah. Well, that's a household name.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Willie. Just curious, because, you know, in the music industry, it could take you down a lot of paths. And you may cross paths with a lot of folks that maybe they were not a celebrity, if you want to call it that, at a time, but then later became that, obviously. So in the 24 years, the breakup happens. What does Manny do with himself?
Yeah, so twist of fate.
Okay.
Gosh, I must be 48 by now, somewhere in there. I get married.
Again. All right.
Yeah, I get married and I have children.
You never had children up to this point?
No. Ran a whole life, in fact, I'm almost 50, no kids. So
wow.
So I met a great girl who trusted me enough to make kids with me.
That is a wow. Yeah. You know what? I'm 51, and
there's still hope.
Not just I've got kids.
Okay.
I've got kids, and tapped out.
Okay.
So that is 48. That's a big life moment.
Yeah, I'm just starting.
You're in a lot of ways.
Yeah, my youngest one can't read yet. You know, that's
wow.
I'm brand new.
Wow. So then tell me about what that moment is with you and the music. How does that change your music?
So I just continued to play locally, joined some great folks that already were established. Andy and Tracy McCullough. Derek's done a podcast with them.
Okay.
Roxy Love. And just kept doing what I know how to do, just play music.
Yeah. How do you see music as far as like shaping people's lives? How do you see that playing into their personality?
100%. Necessary. Like it's therapeutic, it's fun, it's relaxing, it can make money, you know, it can create jobs, it can create careers.
Yeah, I think it's a release of tension.
Yeah, it's socially it's fantastic.
Sure.
You know, locally it's just great for there's nothing bad about music, no matter what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I would take the money part right out of it.
Mm-hmm. Which is part of what got me interested in talking to you too, because we're leading toward this moment, and we're going to go deep on that because I found that to be more interesting to me. The fact that I've preached this a lot. So, you know, I think I talked to you a little bit about, I do speaking events, and I'll do keynote speaking and stuff.
Yeah.
And part of my messaging is I try to influence young people to find their passion in life and tie that to their purpose, and don't worry about the paycheck because it'll be there. The paycheck will come, but when you put your passion and purpose before the paycheck will be secondary to your life. When you focus only on the paycheck, I think you will suffer in the passion and purpose part of things. So that's why it's so important to really find something you connect with. So music for you obviously was the thing. And so now here you are, you're getting remarried, you're having kids at 48.
Yeah.
What are you thinking is the future for your music at that time? One, and then the second part of that is, when do you end up here in Hernando?
Well, the coolest thing about that question is the answer that I've had no time to prepare for. If our listeners don't know, I haven't prepared for this. You told me about this yesterday.
I wrote no notes. I wrote no notes. I said, I'm just going to talk to Manny.
I met you yesterday.
Yeah, right.
So my only focus was my kids.
Okay.
Like everything is second now. You know, music's always been first, but now it's simple. Life is so much easier.
And that's something.
Whatever it takes to make them happy. and keep them safe and secure, whatever it is.
That's awesome.
So, but music is still there, right? So it's still how I survive.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep it going, but I'm a dad now.
You're a dad.
Yeah, that's it.
And how old are your kids?
5 and 8.
5 and 8.
Now
Now they are, yeah. And so what brought you to Hernando?
So her and I broke up, and she moved to Hernando, and I moved right behind her.
Okay.
That's the dad thing.
Yeah.
Wherever the kids are is where I go.
Okay. And y'all were living in Texas prior to this?
Horn Lake.
Horn Lake.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were
Well, what
up here.
brought
I
you
met
to
her
DeSoto
here.
County? Because I know you're a Texas guy. You travel around. You do all this. I'm just what brought you to our side?
Cool thing is, in the 24 years, that whole travel thing,
Mm-hmm.
we stumbled onto this place called Horseshoe Casino on one pass through. We were like, what is this? It was like Atlantic City or Vegas to us. And we found the casinos.
Okay.
And we landed here. We have to move here because this is like a gold mine.
Yeah.
It's 11 casinos. They all have bands like 7 nights a week.
It's true.
So we hit them all.
I imagine that's probably where you met Derek.
It is.
Yeah,
all
'cause I
of
know
them.
he was playing down
Everybody
there,
I've met, and we hit them all. And we played them for years, and I still play them.
Oh, Jack Binion. Running the
Jack.
Horseshoe. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
Jack Rao. You know him?
We have the
Guitar-
same birthday.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I grew up with his son.
One of my
I've known
best
Jack
friends.
my whole life. Yeah. That's wild. Small world, right?
Yeah.
Big seems big, but small world in the scope of things.
Yep.
So the casinos bring you here. You land Horn Lake. You're living there. You separate. She moves to Hernando. You're like, you know what? I'm coming to Hernando with you.
Yeah.
And so here you are in Hernando.
Yeah.
When you move to Hernando, do you have a thought or a game plan as to what it is you see yourself doing now?
Just survive and be that dad.
Survive and be the dad. Because
Yeah.
now the next step is this. All of a sudden, when I meet you, because we're moving the studio over to the same building.
Yeah.
You and Derek been friends for a long time in
Yeah.
the music industry. And he's going to take one of the offices there. So you got like this whole upstairs area over off of Commerce. Or no, it's not Commerce. It's Mackinville.
Mackinville.
Yeah. And so you have you're opening up a music studio. Derek's moving SRP into one of the rooms. And you're opening up the Big Note Music Lessons studio.
That's correct.
How does this dream formulate? Because you've been playing and now it's like there's an aha moment. Talk to me about that.
It's crazy. So I've just come off of a year. I ran this whole career that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, probably nothing really, really great's going to happen now. And I end up working at the Gold Strike with one of the greatest bands I've ever been
Talk
in.
about who is it?
Well, the band was called the Gold Strike All Stars.
Oh, okay.
So, and we just met a guy, that was running this whole thing, Kevin Stewart, and he landed us this gig. It started out with a whole lot of musicians, and they kept trimming it down and trimmed it down to 5 people. And it was myself, Walter White. You might know some of these people. Louis Hayslett and Jeff Bowen and myself and Rashawn from Vegas.
Yeah.
So we just ended up I just ended up in this incredible project. It was like peak of my career, really. And I can't wait for people to hear the recordings that they've done. But anyway,
What year was this?
This was up until about a month ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like, I mean, this is like I'm making great money. I'm
Yeah.
solid. I'm paying my bills. I'm raising my kids. Life is amazing. And then the contract ended, which is fine. But now I'm going from like 60 to 0 now. Like now I've got 0 income. No matter how great you are, no matter how many bands you're playing in, I'm not going to be able to duplicate this monetarily, like income wise.
Yeah.
This is not going to happen. So I'm just standing back looking at, well, okay, I guess I'm going to be playing weekends and this and that, but really, how am I going to make all this money? So I just start thinking, teach piano, right? So I start thinking, teach piano out of my house. This happens within about a week. In about a week, I go from, hey, I'll give some lessons on the side to I'll do it out of my house to why can't I just find a place and open a little piano studio to finding one of the greatest spots in Hernando.
It is a tight spot. It's nice. I like it.
And applying for it. And the craziest part was I got it. Like, I don't even know how that happened. I thought it was a lot harder to sign a commercial lease.
Yeah.
And it probably is. But somehow or another, I pulled this off.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at 2,500 square feet of space in a gorgeous building across from the high school.
Yeah. Great location.
Yeah. And I'm like, and I did have some savings. So I said, this is it, man.
Yeah.
I'm opening a music school.
Yeah.
Like within 2 weeks to a month, I come up with this.
That's awesome. You're doing a thing that Derek and I talk about is the cannonballing life.
Yeah, you said that
Yeah,
yesterday.
that's what I talked to you about. It's like, just when you have the idea of the moment, if you just go up and put your toe in the water, there's a lot of ways you're going to figure out how you can talk yourself out of that moment. But once you run and you jump and you pull your knees in, Manny, there's no stopping.
Not now.
You're in it. That's the thing. You're gonna land.
Tens of thousands in it.
And you're gonna figure it out when you get there for sure.
Yeah.
So that young boy back years ago at the Long Island, Staten Island mall, when you're wandering around, taking chances as you get older.
Yeah.
That little boy never left you. That adventure never left you.
Probably
that
not.
desire to pursue something that just made sense was still burning at you.
Yeah.
And you take that chance and you realize that, maybe you fail, maybe you don't, but in the end, you got to know. You got to know. And I think that's part of the story I want my listeners to hear. Because do you realize right now, man, you're inspiring somebody?
I hope so.
You are. This
hope
podcast, thankfully, and I'm very humbled by this, is seen worldwide. I mean, there's a person in England right now probably watching this saying to themselves, if that chap can do it, why can't I?
Oh, hey, Rick.
There it is.
I got friends in England. Sorry.
Do you really? And so we have I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. So it's like we have pockets in different countries. Like there's a spot in Australia. We have a lot of downloads in Australia.
Wow.
And I don't know where it comes from. I relate to the people from parts unknown. We always have 10 to 15 downloads a month from parts unknown. Oh. That's where I relate to.
That's cool.
So I don't know where that is, but that feels like that's me.
But
you're inspiring people because the story you have is this. You had this passion, you have this love, and you understand the significance of what it is you do and why you do it. All those things are important. I think a lot of students I talk to in high school, they're so scared they're not going to figure out what it is they're supposed to do in life. And I just try to, it's easy for me to say this being where I am and them to understand it where they are. But if you follow that heart that you have for the thing that you love, and you will figure that out, and you don't have to know tomorrow, it will come to you.
Yeah.
Then the rest will figure itself out. And that's what you have done throughout your life is you've pursued that passion and love that you have. Now you realize at this point you have a much higher calling. You have got to take care of your kids.
Well, it's interesting because as you were speaking, I was remembering one thing though that did inspire me. I did decide to give lessons and then maybe I could do this on a higher level. That was there. Mm-hmm. But it was one night when both of my daughters, 5 and 8, were in my music room with headphones on, both playing they were both on keyboards. And I just stopped and looked in there and they were so engaged. They were so calm and they were so beautiful in the moment. I'm like, these children love music. They love the piano. They're playing and they're not fighting right now and they're not yelling at me and everybody's great. I thought, man, many, many more kids could have the same thing. Mm-hmm. I thought, and not only that, my 5-year-old is already reading music, which I hardly taught her how to do. It's some kind of natural weird thing that we discovered. So that kind of blew my mind a bit. And I thought, if I open a school, definitely other 5-year-olds, other 8-year-olds and ages in between can do the same thing. So I thought they kind of inspired me. If we're being
that's beautiful.
If we're being real honest,
that's beautiful, and it ties in perfectly to so much of what I try to hopefully I get this message across more often than not. Is it's so important to be aware that we're planting seeds even when we don't know we are. Yeah. They planted a seed.
Yeah.
Okay. Your passion was there. You didn't need someone to prompt that. That was there. That was inside of your DNA.
Yeah.
Your daughters, that is the highest purpose now that you have on this earth to be able to take care of. They plant the seed of what is possible next. Now, here's the full circle for you, my friend. Now, what you not only realize is that you're able to do this thing that you love so much, but you also see the significance of that in your own daughters and how that's going to affect their life. And now you realize, hey, I can do that on a bigger scale with other people and their kids. Who knows what you're going to be able to inspire to another child that will grow up. Yeah. And guess what they do? They inspire another child from another generation. Manny, we're only on this earth for this much time.
Oh, man.
Just a smidge.
It's scary.
And so us doing the thing that we need to do and we're supposed to do is so important that we do it on a scale that's not for us, but it is for the bigger cause. And that was the thing that inspired me about bringing you in here was the fact that you talked about how you have to have money to survive, but you see this as being a need for this community.
Yeah.
And here you are in Hernando. And you're down here, and what I would like to think of, DeSoto County is a growing mecca.
Yeah.
South Haven's expanding, Olive Branch is expanding, Hernando's expanding. I don't know about Horn Lake. I haven't spoke to their mayor, but I've been able to talk to the other mayors, and the cities are constantly spreading and becoming more populated.
Yeah.
And we don't have a music school down here.
Well, so, on that, being in Hernando, just living here for the couple of years since we moved, I've been so inspired by the local mentality. This whole scene to me is so comfortable. My daughters are in gymnastics, cheerleading, choir, the school musicals. They're in tennis. They're Girl Scouts. Everywhere I go, it's just all about the kids. Mm-hmm. And I thought, is there a music school in this town? Now, there's a beautiful guitar store down there,
right.
Sweet Lorraine's, lovely place. And
in
I walk
square.
in,
yep.
and I met him, really good guy. And I know he gives like lessons in the lobby and stuff, and that's perfect. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking a little bit more along the lines of having a lot of square footage and having group lessons where I have like lots of kids learning in groups, because I've done that before. And so I thought, well, let's expand on that. And yes, you're right. I don't know of any formal music school in Hernando specifically. Yeah. I can't find one.
Well, the bottom line is this, even if there are others, we've already talked about the camaraderie.
Yeah.
So the collaboration to be able to bring the better good to the community. And I like the fact too that you're community minded, because I say this all the time. I'm a part of several things, nonprofit, Hope Center, which is a mentorship program for youth between the 4th grade and 12th grade. We do a lot of stuff. We understand the significance of infusing in our young people, not just a path or a goal or a passion, but a positive mentality. Right. And we've already talked about how music can affect you that way. And there are so many things pulling at a kid, people, adults too, but kids, from social media to all the stuff that's on TV nowadays. They are just, there's a lot of negative. There's so much stuff that a kid can get bogged down with. They need positive sources. I don't know if you know this. Coach Camp is not just a gimmick. I'm actually a coach. I'm a real coach, even though it's like, I realize that it's a life coach thing that I do with my podcast and stuff, but I am actually a sports coach. And that is the reason why I coach.
Oh, okay.
It's because I understand what it means to be a part of a child's life and give them a solid foundation and mentorship, and realize that they're worth more whenever they share their lives with other people than trying to be isolated, and don't walk off from something that's a challenge, and get out there and be a part of a team. All of those things matter. And that's what you're going to be able to do with your music studio.
Music. Yeah. For those who are interested.
Absolutely. So talking a little bit about the music itself. So you say you play piano. Do you play other musical instruments?
I play every instrument.
How is that possible?
Well, I should just narrow that down to 4. I play guitar, bass, drums, and keyboards. So I don't play any horns or strings or anything. But music as a whole is really all theoretically the same thing. Okay. So, but we will be giving focus lessons on the guitar, bass, drums, and keyboards. That's what I was gonna get. That's where I was going with that. Obviously, what kind of lessons are you open though? Like if a person wanted to learn how to play the glockenspiel, I would find them a glockenspiel teacher. Okay. If someone comes in, hey, we want to learn violin, I've got resources. We can. We want to tie everybody together. That's what I was wondering if you would do. So I'm not in this for so much. I need to survive, but I'm really in it to create like a giant community. I love it. I know that it'll work itself out. Anything that's going on in town that's got music, has music to do with it, we'll have groups that can perform. Mm-hmm. Young children between 6 and 12, maybe they'll have groups. We want to have a keyboard orchestra. That would be great at Christmas time. Oh, that'd be great. Really cool. There's so many ideas I have. We want to be a part of everything. Yeah. We're just not some place that's operating, for the in and outs. What's going on in town, we want to be there. Yeah. And I want to reach the schools. I plan to. And we'll be offering other services, audio and visual consultation and rentals. And, if they need equipment for whatever it is, we can do that too. We've got other layers of this. Yeah. And this is the inception. Yeah. So the possibilities are limitless according to your vision and imagination. Yeah. Which is part of the beauty of entrepreneurship. But then even pursuing a passion. Whenever I was growing up, I always thought I'd be a Major League Baseball player.
I thought I was going to play second base for the Yankees. I feel like Jeter.
You really are a Yankees fan.
I really am. I thought Jeter and I were going to be buddies and teammates, but it didn't work out that way. Somebody would have told me back then, you could do sports commentation. You could be a reporter. There's all these other things you could have done. I probably would have went that path. And I'm not regretting anything I've ever done, but the avenues were not as obvious and things were not always presented. But that's actually what you're doing. You're going to give the community and kids those different options of where they could go with music as an industry itself.
Yeah.
And I love that. And so the idea of the Glockenspiel, by the way, if you're curious as to where I came up with that, we had a Brazilian foreign exchange student, and she loves band. She loves being in her band, and she comes here and she's telling us that she plays the Glockenspiel, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's speaking Portuguese because I don't know what that is. I had to look it up, and then it was actually it was a real word for me. Yeah. So, but that's why I knew about that. Otherwise, I would have never known. So, moving forward here, when do you think? So, this is probably mid-January when this is airing. Are you up and going now?
I would hope so.
Okay.
I would hope so.
So when they're watching this video, you're up and running.
I would, yeah.
Okay, good. So how do people become involved if they want to help? Maybe they want to help give lessons. Maybe they have a specific specialty they do. Could that be something that you're interested in?
I'm welcoming any and all educators, teachers, mentors, persons that love music. That, if they want to teach, they want to come around. We've got 2,500 square feet of space. We've got several classrooms. We've got time slots, in each one. Great software to operate it all. I can lease out rooms if you're a piano teacher that has their own students already. You want to use our space instead, something like that. Or we can find students for you and do it that way. Either way, we're wide open. There's no iffies here. Yeah. Like my door is wide open to anybody that wants to be involved, either working with us, working for us, or just signing up, and participating in lessons and learning.
If someone's interested in this, how do they reach you?
Big Note musiclessons.com.
Okay, so just go online. You have a phone number? Y'all don't have a phone number yet?
662-519-6859.
6859. All right.
Yeah.
There's usually a song when I'm on the driving down the road. 682. So I'm like, oh wow, that number's in there, and I'll never get it out of my head. Thank you, Corey B. Trotz. Yeah. So so that's good then. So we'll have all that stuff within the notes as well. Yeah. I want people to know that one, if they're interested, they just have a curiosity. Their kid has a curiosity.
Yeah.
Obviously, they should give it a try. Do you guys have like a trial time? Because
every lesson. Every lesson is free for the first lesson.
Got you. That's what I was curious.
I will give everybody in Hernando a free lesson first.
Okay. Yeah.
No matter how long it takes, no matter how much time it takes. Yeah. So that's because we want people to come in and just see this place and go, this is a good place.
Right.
So it's worth it to me. Come on in.
That's awesome.
Don't worry about the first lesson. So that's absolute.
Are there any other things that I would not know to ask about what you're about to bring up and how you're going to be doing this thing? My questioning is almost limited to the point of I don't know what your expansion or ideas are. So if there's something that maybe you could throw in.
Well, I mean, the group thing is huge. We're really going to be looking to, in recent times, I think it's been recognized that groups are a better way to learn. Mm-hmm. So in the old days, we had the ruler on the knuckles lessons, one-on-one. Right. Kids would last a month and they'd get out of there. They'd be like, Mom, I don't want to go back. My number one concept is that kids will want to come back. Mm-hmm. 2 reasons. Number one, if you're in group, you're going to be in there with your friends or you're going to make friends. It's going to be fun. There's going to be challenges, activities, lots of games played. We have a whole reward system that no music school I've ever taught at or been to. You make achievements in your lessons, any kind of goal, any kind of milestone, you're rewarded with some kind of, we don't know yet. We're going to call it tokens, coupons, points, something. When you walk out, my little girl Josie is the manager of the rewards system, and she's getting all the toys and gadgets and things like that. And you're going to leave with some sort of reward.
Cool.
For your musical achievements.
I like it.
Yeah, and that goes further. It could be like if for example, maybe you've not missed a lesson in 10 weeks. boom, you've earned something for that. It's an incentive, motivation. It just makes them happy.
Absolutely. My daughter got some kind of thing at her orthodontist if she did whatever each time, and then they would give her like a token or something, then she could cash that in for something.
Yeah, everywhere I go, well, I've got 2 daughters, so this is the thing. Everywhere I go, they're making us play video games, for $50 to $100 to get like $5 worth of stuff.
Yeah, I know.
And the kids go nuts for it. So I thought, I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to actually just give this stuff away.
Yeah. Whenever I take my daughter to Chuck E. Cheese, I was cutthroat. I was beating the snot out of the other kids at the basketball or whatever, getting all the tickets.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, hey, look, I just spent $200 here. Give me that $4 stuffed animal.
Yeah. And we're giving that stuff out. Like,
that's awesome.
It's not a bribe. It's an incentive. It's motivation.
Yeah.
But I just know that it works because my kids, Josie, I would give her $10 every time she finished a chapter.
Yeah.
On a Simply Piano app, and she plays beautifully now. And I'm pretty sure if I didn't do that, she may not have done it.
Oh, trust me.
It's hard to say.
People, and this is not just kids though, but people like the idea that they can look forward to achieving something.
Yeah.
Look, I run marathons, sir, and I am not fast.
Okay.
But if they didn't have a free T-shirt and a medal at the end, I'm not running it. I'm going to go find a different one because I need something to show my efforts were worth something.
Right.
Right. And so that's really what you're giving them. And it does give hope. And it gives, I think, probably goal setting. You know, whenever a person's like, all right, when I reach this, then I get this. Same thing with karate or taekwondo. You get the different level belts, and I got nephews involved in that. They love that stuff.
Life as a whole is rewards based. Period. No matter how you look at it.
I totally agree.
We also, and I will mention this, we want to use our space for parties.
Okay.
I notice everybody's doing parties. All the places my kids go to offer some sort of party package. Mm-hmm. Well, we want to do the same thing. We're a little different. We have a giant lobby with 5 flat screens, seating. We've got a light show. We've got audio. We've got a PA system, which is audio. They can run music in there. They can dance. We have a photo wall in the middle lobbies with green screens. They can take selfies and pictures. It's an excellent place for parties.
Nice.
And not just for kids. Like if office parties want to occur, we just tone that down, take the child theme off of it. And
karaoke, got that up there?
Karaoke, all of it.
I've been told I'm not a great singer, but an amazing performer.
I need to hear this.
Yeah. Well, so I have one go-to, and it is Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses.
Okay. Yeah.
So I will do that. It's not going to be pitch perfect.
All right.
But the performance is worth the price of admission.
It's always about the performance.
I think so, at least in some songs anyways.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this. I know this is something that the community is going to embrace. Here's what I want to share with my listeners real fast, and then I want to get a final word from you. I'm just going to say this as a challenge in 2025. Look, if there has been something you've been sitting on the fence about, maybe thinking about going after, you're not sure how to start or where to start, I'm going to tell you, take the first step. Y'all know my story. I started out with my phone on a garbage can, made my first video. Look, I'm not saying that I've made it by any means, but I've constantly grown. And along the way, I have been able to see the impact in other people's lives. So just know that if you're doing something that is meaningful, that will have an impact in others, you're living bigger and beyond yourself, that it's worth the challenge. It's worth the fear of failure. Just get out there and get after it. I promise you, if it's something that you really are passionate about, there's no such thing as failure. It is just a learning moment. Failure is only final when you decide to not get up and keep going. So I'm hoping that you're listening to Manny's story today and you're picking up some of that energy and inspiration to go after your dreams and think beyond what you thought was possible for yourself. Go big or go home is what I say. So Manny, what would you want to leave my listeners with as we wrap up today?
Oh, do what you're good at. Just whatever it is that you know, whatever it is that you're passionate about, just absolutely focus on that. Don't settle for anything else.
And one more time, the website.
BigNoteMusicLessons.com.
I'm just going to throw a .com on this thing. So it's going to be in the notes also for you guys if you're interested. Just go check that out in the notes.
Yeah.
Well, Manny, thank you for coming down. I do know that I was your first podcast.
So you were.
You might as well hang it up because there's never going to be a better one. I'm just kidding. But I hope that you had a good time, and I know people are going to love your music. And I can't wait to see where you go next. And you're going to see a lot of me because we go up there and we we're going to be recording.
All right.
So all the time. Hey, to my listeners, thank you guys for tuning in. I love this, man. 2025 is going to bring some big things, baby. I hope that you signed up for it. Continue to go to my website, motivatewithcoachcamp.com. Go to my YouTube and subscribe. And until next time, Coach Camp out.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up, so